After Texas State's explosive win versus UTSA and Arizona State's disappointing loss to Mississippi State, one thing has become clear. This Saturday, Arizona State is officially on upset alert. Welcome back to Wizard Wednesday. I'm your host, Zach. What a weekend. What a fun time in San Antonio. Probably the most fun I've ever had in San Antonio, to be honest with you. An explosive win against UTSA, a barn burner in the end, a defensive first half. There's not really a lot you can ask for, a lot more that you can ask for in a rivalry game than what we experienced. There were quite a few Bobcats there. I don't think it was 50-50, but there were quite a few Bobcats there. Really fun time. And we got to show an element of our offense that we're going to need this week against, I think, a really tough Arizona State team that has underperformed thus far and has something to prove. So let's not do a whole long intro. Let's dive right into the three keys that I've identified. We'll see if you agree with these keys. I want to hear from you in the comments as we go. But let's dive right in to number one. And surprise, surprise, I'm going to start on the offensive side of the ball. If you watch the Mississippi State versus Arizona State game, you may have come away with a couple different takeaways. I think the big one that everyone came away with is that Arizona State, that defense is leaky. It is susceptible to the deep ball. The thing that I came away with after watching the Mississippi State-Arizona State game is that Mississippi State offense looks very familiar. Really, really familiar. So I did some research, and it turns out that their head coach is an Art Briles disciple, which means their offense is a wide split, vertical choice style offense. Sound familiar? It's exactly what we have, right? So we're a little bit more multiple. I'm sure that the Mississippi State coach would say that they're multiple as well. But the main thing is that they do the same thing that we do. They have wide splits trying to spread out the defense, and then they have choice routes. In fact, those deep bombs that Mississippi State was able to score against Arizona State, I went back and watched the tape. They're choice routes. They look exactly like choice routes. Choice routes are hard to defeat. I won't make this whole thing about choice routes, even though I love vertical choice. The point being is there's an opportunity there. If we're going to win this game against a very stout run defense, Arizona State has been doing very well this year against the run. In fact, they sell out against the run. We're going to have to air it out. We're going to have to use our choice routes, right? We're going to have to use play action. One of the other things that I identified watching this game is that they have a safety, number 5, who loves to be involved in the run game. And that's great. But sometimes when he's in pass coverage, he likes to cheat. He likes to cheat inside. That's not going to work against Texas State. If you have a play action pass, we saw the big 65-yard bomb to Bo Sparks against UTSA. That was a play action. It was play action with just the quarterback, but it was play action. It drew the defense down, and then he was able to hit it over top. Also, I suspect that was a choice route watching the game back. So we have the tools to do what Mississippi State did. The only, if you're going to be a pessimist about that, you could look at it and you could say, well, Arizona State has had a lot of tape of this offense, this style of offense. And that's absolutely true. In fact, they're going to have, a couple weeks of Mississippi State tape to look at. They're going to have a couple weeks now of this version of the Texas State offense. And they're going to have tape in which they can look at their own players defending this, right? Here's what you did wrong. Here's what you do this week. So that is a challenge potentially, but I don't see any other avenue to get to the upset other than winning on these choice routes deep, because they do have a very stout run defense, and we should try to run the ball. We have to try to run the ball, and hopefully that's there. But if I'm looking at their run defense, I think that our most likely way of being successful offensively is to take our shots down the field, lean on our vertical choice passing plays, concepts, and try to do what Mississippi State did against them. Key number 2 is going to be muddying the waters, muddying the landscape for Sam Levit. He is a really good quarterback. I know that he was on Heisman lists. He isn't now because the first couple games have been a little rocky, But I still believe that he's a good quarterback. I still believe that he can beat you with his legs, and I think that he can do some down the field passing. What Mississippi State did very well against him, especially in the first half, is they muddied the waters for him. His look at the landscape, the defensive landscape, pre-snap was completely different than what he got post-snap. One of the greatest examples that I saw is they had, and I've probably said this before because it's one of my favorite things to do. You see this in NFL a lot, but you have a cover zero look where everyone's at the line of scrimmage. It's hard to look at that and decipher who's actually going to blitz, who's actually going to drop back in coverage, who's covered, who's uncovered, which throwing lanes am I going to have? It's difficult. Well, Mississippi State gave him that cover zero look. Almost everyone up at the line of scrimmage. And then they rushed 4 and dropped everyone else back in coverage. Ended up being an incompletion. I believe it was a 3rd down, and they ended up punting afterwards. So that's the type of thing you have to do against a quarterback like this. You cannot allow him to get comfortable. You cannot allow him to get into a rhythm. You cannot just play base defense every single down and expect that we're going to outmatch them physically. I don't see that happening. I think we're a very physical team. We have to be physical, but we can't rely only on our physicality. I'd like to see some disguised coverages. I'd like to see us mix things up and make him think more than sit back, relax, and be comfortable back there. Side piece to this is that it might be time to start thinking about a QB spy. I've been against it in the past. I'm sure we do it a little bit, but on 3rd, 4th down, 3rd and long, 4th and long, it might be time to use a QB spy every now and then. Mississippi State did it, and it worked pretty well. It worked pretty well for containing him. So that's another piece of this that may be a key to winning the game is disguising things for Sam Levit, not letting him get comfortable, and then keeping him from scrambling for first downs. It's okay if it's 3rd and 10 and he scrambles for 2 or 3, that's fine. That's okay. We can live with that. Running quarterbacks are hard to stop, period. I've seen a lot of fan bases online talk about, or a lot of members of our fan base online talk about how we have trouble with running quarterbacks. And that is true. We do have trouble with running quarterbacks, but in general, running quarterbacks are a problem for everyone. Everyone has trouble with running quarterbacks. Look at Lamar Jackson. Look at what Brad Jackson is doing against defenses this year. Sam Levit was a problem for everyone last year with his legs. It's not an unsolvable problem, but it is certainly going to be a problem. You're adding one more person into the run game. It's an issue. So maybe QB spy, if we feel like we have someone athletic enough who can get to the edge and stop him when he does run outside. But those are 2 pieces of key number 2. Muddy the waters and contain Sam Levit. Key number 3 is simple. It is football 101. It is win the turnover battle. I think this is going to be a difficult game for Texas State. I really do. In the preseason season prediction, I said this was a no chance game, as in Texas State has no chance to win. I'm amending that. I don't believe that anymore. I think Texas State has a decent chance of winning, but we're not favored for a reason. They have better recruits. They've returned more starters. On paper, this looks like a Texas State plus 16 game. I think that's the line right now. Texas State's getting 16 points. So in order to win those type of games, you have to do the first 2 things that I said, but you also need to win the turnover battle. You can't make mistakes. You can't turn the ball over, and you need to make them make mistakes. Part of that is disguising things for Sam Levit. Part of that is being physical and knocking the ball out and getting to the quarterback. So we really have to do that. We need to make our own luck in this thing. It's hard to do. It's challenging to be disciplined enough to keep him in the pocket and not over pursue, while also hopefully getting tackles for losses, maybe a strip sack. I would love a strip sack. I'd like to see that out of our defense. But I think that's what we're going to need. I think there's a potential it could be a close game like last year. And the deciding factor last year was a couple turnovers on our side. Those turnovers don't happen. Who knows? So that's it. That's the 3 keys. Please let me know in the comments what you think. Key number 1 is lean into the vertical choice. Take shots downfield, especially if they're going to commit to the run like they have. They have very physical players up front. Throw it over their heads. I don't trust their DBs as much as I trust their run defense. Number 2 is muddy the waters for their quarterback. Make it difficult for him to operate and get comfortable. And then key number 3 is the most football, the most generic thing you're going to see. But sometimes football is generic. You need to win the turnover battle. You need to make your own luck. You need to steal some possessions from them. If we do all 3 of those things, we're going to be fine. We do those 3 things, we're going to win the game. So that's where I'm at. Please like, comment on this video. Make sure you subscribe to the YouTube channel. Follow us on all the socials. I did get confirmation from Kef. We are WNOGB at WNOGB on Instagram, on TikTok, and then on Twitter, we are at WinNowerGetBent. So that's the outlier. So make sure you follow us on all the socials to keep up with what we've got going on. We've got cinematic recaps. Kef's going to be back on Thursday or Friday, previewing this game in much more detail than I have. So please make sure you're all over that and leave us a comment, and we will see you next week.